We are going to be looking at some disturbing videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. Now, we definitely have quite a few things to talk about in today's video. For example, that fireball they're calling a meteor has now appeared in other countries. This meteor that appeared in the southeastern states has now appeared over in Sweden yesterday, and spoiler alert, I don't think this was any meteor. I found this interesting article that was published by UPI on June 20th. Now, people keep hearing these very strange sounds in the skies, but one of the theories is that maybe these sounds are not coming from the skies. Maybe they are coming from the grounds below, new tunnels being built, and so forth. This article is titled, CPB Agents Discovered 3,000-Foot Underground Tunnel. The article goes on to say that United States Customs and Border Protection agents have discovered and closed a tunnel carved into the ground between San Diego and Tijuana that stretched more than 1,000 feet into the United States, the agency announced on Thursday. The agency said the tunnel, located near the Otay Mesa port of entry, had an exit point near a commercial warehouse. The tunnel entrance was discovered in a residential area in the Mexican border town of Tijuana and had been concealed with freshly laid tile, CBP said. The investigation revealed the tunnel was equipped with electrical wiring, lighting, ventilation systems, and a track system designed for transporting large quantities of contraband, a CBP release said. The tunnel stretched nearly 3,000 feet spanning the United States and Mexico border and measured nearly 4 feet high and more than 2 feet wide. It is the latest in a long series of tunnel discoveries in the Southwest. But there are tunnels everywhere, connected to everywhere. You remember that story that came out about those tunnels in New York, and these tunnels are much older than we believe. They're just being expanded upon. The article goes on to say drug and human smugglers have used clandestine underground tunnels along the United States-Mexico border for decades and routinely use them to move drugs and people into the United States. And as of right now, since 1993, in the San Diego area alone, there have been more than 95 tunnels discovered. Like I said, these tunnels are everywhere, and I wouldn't doubt one bit that the noises that people are hearing in the skies, they believe are coming from the skies, these very strange sounds, are coming from below, tunnels being worked on, maintenance on, and created. So yesterday, the Build Back Better bill, the Big Beautiful Bill, I don't know why I get those two mixed up, you have to excuse me, probably because I talk too fast, but like I said, the Big Beautiful Bill was passed.
Any audio that we can take in?
Okay. Pursuant to the order 4 February 29, 1960, the hour of 12 noon having arrived, the Senate having been in continuous session since yesterday, the Senate will suspend for a prayer by the Senate chaplain.
So I'm not going to go ahead and talk about how I feel about this bill or everything inside this bill, but there are a couple things I do want to go ahead and talk about, and one of them has to do with how they stripped away the no regulations on AI for 10 years. And that's good, that's great, but I still feel like at the end of the day, they're going to go ahead and let these tech giants do what they want, especially now that they are inside the military, and not just in the military, but they are ranked. They are lieutenant colonels. So it gives them a little bit more power to do what they want. They have a little bit more say inside the military. But here's how things go hand in hand. Now that we have these tech giants, these tech CEOs inside the military, does anybody remember when Biden was president, what came out, that DoD Directive 5240.01? Basically, in a nutshell, that bill allows the military to intervene against the public. And now, again, these tech giants are lieutenant colonels in the military. Very interesting how that works. Now, I know what some of you might be saying, Minutes of Horror, these tech giants, they would never attack the public just because they're in the military and there's this DoD directive. That's just the fear talking. Well, I'm not saying that. Let's just go ahead and see what Alex Karp says, one of the CEOs, one of the main CEOs when it comes to Palantir. And Palantir's CTO is one of the individuals who is now the lieutenant colonel.
Higher purpose, and I also think you often need a lower purpose. Like the higher purpose for me.
What's a lower purpose?
Well, I love the idea of getting a drone and having light fentanyl-laced urine spraying on analysts who tried to screw us. So that's my lower purpose. And, and others. But the higher purpose for me was to get this nation to be the preeminent power in the world because whatever faults we have, they're nothing like anyone else's.
So again, I'm not saying that these guys have any ill will against the public. I'm not putting these words in Alex Karp's mouth. And now I'm even more curious as to what those drones were spraying all over the skies when people were seeing them everywhere.
Look at it. Look at him spraying. Look at that. Look at that. He is spraying the sky again.
I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Remember those drones that were flying everywhere, including restricted airspace, and the question was, well, why isn't the military shooting them down? And a lot of people were saying, well, that's because they belong to the military. Maybe they belong to Palantir. Like, for example, look at this article here from Wired.com. Why the United States military can't just shoot down the mystery drones. Small, easily weaponizable drones have been a feature of battlefields from the Middle East to Ukraine. Now the threat looms over the United States homeland, and the Pentagon's ability to respond is limited. Take a look at this more recent article here posted by military.com that says the Tech Executives Commission as senior Army officers won't recuse themselves from the DoD Department of Defense business dealings. And this article, which was published on June 27th, says, 4 big tech executives, including Palantir, the Army directly commissioned to be lieutenant colonels with no military background, will not recuse themselves from business dealings with the Department of Defense as the Pentagon, particularly the Army, cozies up to Silicon Valley. I said, And I've said it before in other videos, I'm not a conspiracy theorist and I'm not a truther. I'm just an individual that sees some questionable stuff out there and I question it. I believe that we can still question things when there's dots out there and dots start to connect in very suspicious ways. I believe we're able to call it out. I don't think you need to be a quote-unquote conspiracy theorist to say, don't you think it's weird there are guys now in the military who became lieutenant colonels out of nowhere who own businesses where the CEOs are coming out to the public and saying that I would take drones and spray fentanyl-laced urine on my critics and others. And let us not forget that Palantir is connected to the 3-letter organization who's connected to another organization where over 1 billion people use to map out their homes and their locations, their cities, and so forth. But I'm sure Alex Karp of Palantir was just joking, right? Right. Let's go ahead and ask Peter Thiel, another CEO of Palantir, if he thinks that Alex Karp is joking.
You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
That was just beautifully put, Peter, but moving on, and one more thing about AI, I feel like AI for the most part has done its job. Now, I uploaded a video yesterday to my other channel, Seconds of Horror, that had to do about people seeing very strange things. It's like the veil has lifted. I'm noticing more and more comments of people saying how that's just AI, that's only AI. And I can't fault these people because we now have things like Google VO3 where it now has voice. And we talk about how AI should be regulated and how they stripped it away from this bill, but then we have things again like Google VO3. But going back to people saying that it's just AI. So AI has done a masterful job giving an answer for the very strange things we'll be seeing, recording, and uploading for the rest of the public to see. And again, that answer will be it's only AI. Like, for example, the video clip I showed in yesterday's video where the reporter at the White House, her face started to change and her fingers were very elongated. And people were also saying how that video clip could also be AI. But I have also been noticing more and more that not even the news cameras can hide the strange things that are out there. The news cameras capturing things falling out of the skies. They're capturing things revealing themselves in the clouds. And like I had posted yesterday, there are these black things once again appearing and coming out of the waters.
All right, y'all, look at this.
Yesterday, and unfortunately that rain does stick with us.
That's a bird.
Rain chances as we head into the afternoon. This is our look over Pensacola Beach on our generator guys camera. We have
That's a bird. What is that? What is that?
But you know what I have been noticing a lot of too are these AI news reports, and it really makes me wonder if something strange, very strange, is captured on these news cameras accidentally and they take it down, but people have still recorded it. They'll just go ahead and say, well, that was just an AI news report that someone had made up and it crossed over or something along those lines, because check this out.
Angela Carter here, live from the Cedar Grove flood disaster. Just kidding, I'm not real. This is Dana Brooks reporting live from Ocean View Beach. Just kidding, I'm not real. This is Charlotte Reed reporting live from Clearwater Beach, where an unidentified... Just kidding, I'm not real.
Alright, yo, look at this shit.
Yesterday, and unfortunately, that rain does stick with us.
That's a bird.
Rain chances as we head into the afternoon. This is our look over Pensacola Beach on our generator guys camera. We have
That's a bird. The fuck is that? What the fuck is that? What is that? Alright, yo, look at this shit.
And what's interesting, in those AI news reports, all three, strange things were coming from the waters. Well, where did we see those black flying things come out of in that news report?
What is that? What the f is that? What is that?
So I don't think that AI not being regulated for over the next 10 years, being stripped from the bill, even matters. AI has been here for decades upon decades upon decades, fooling the masses for years. And again, the only reason why they give us such things like Google VO3 is so, again, we have an answer for the very strange things that people will now continue to see. And not just that, they love a confused public. If you go to the comment sections to a lot of these videos, you're just going to hear people say, is this real? Is this not real? Is this AI? This has to be AI. So for the most part, AI has done its job, and I'm very curious to see where we're going to be in the next 5 years when it comes to AI. But when it comes to whatever's out there, the strange things that are out there, I always felt like something happened during the April 8th solar eclipse. I'll always say that because that was one of the very first times we saw one of these black flying things flying over Texas when the April 8th solar eclipse was happening. And not just that, the very next day on April 9th is when this anomaly, this massive blob, appeared over Bouvet Island in Antarctica. But talking about strange things being seen, now we all remember when all those strange things were seen on radar just very recently, and they had these meteorologists come out and try to cover up and give an explanation for it. And then in the southeastern states, a lot of people recorded and saw this fireball in the skies where the news, they try to make people believe that it was just a meteor. Well, once again, this fireball was seen in the skies, I believe it was yesterday, over Sweden. Article from Times Now News, and this was published on July 2nd today, is titled, Meteorite Spotted, Fireball Seen Flying Across the Skies Over Sweden and Aland Islands. A bright fireball speculated to be a meteorite was spotted across the skies above the Aland Islands and Sweden's archipelago. The sight was caught on video and shared across on social media. Many viewers were left in awe after seeing the bright streak across the sky. And again, this looks exactly like what was captured flying over the southeastern states here in the United States.
What the f***? Det var så sjukt. Jag såg ett plan först och sen så... What the f*** vi allihopa? Vad i helvete?
So again, more and more people are seeing and hearing very strange things. And I'm surprised they didn't call this fireball AI, but I guess they can't given the fact that a lot of people have witnessed this and recorded this. So they're just going to go ahead and sweep this under the rug and say it was just a meteorite. To go along with these sightings, these things that are seen falling out of the skies, like there's some kind of conflict up there, people continue to hear very strange sounds coming from the skies as well. Also, another theory that I am not taking off the table is that these sounds are actually coming from the ground below. There could be some tunneling, some boring machines at work, building more underground bunkers, underground bases, and so forth. And I really like that theory too. But with these things seen coming out of the skies, it kind of goes hand in hand with these weird sounds.
So I just got off of my live and I went outside and I keep hearing these booms. I checked the radar and there's no storms near me whatsoever. And I'm hoping that they will happen again so I can capture them. That right there. That's what I'm talking about. What is that? What is that? God, I hope it's picking this up. But that is weird. It is currently 12:07 at night in North Texas. I can't see any fireworks of any kind. What the f is going on?
This video comes from J. Clay, and he put together a very interesting collage of people hearing very strange sounds in the skies.
You know what we gotta do? We gotta talk, because for the past few months, people have been claiming to hear the weirdest sounds in the sky, almost like metal scraping or gears above their home. Myself included, but hey, you don't have to take my word for it, which is why I composed this video of a collection of videos that have been sent to me, so you can hear all the weird and bizarre sounds that people are reporting in the sky. And afterwards, we'll discuss. What the f? She obviously reacted with some choice words, but I don't blame her. Did you hear that? Same thing with him. He could hear the sound, he just didn't know what it was because it didn't sound like anything he'd ever heard, and it just kept going and going. And in that video, he said it sounded like it was fireworks, but there were no fireworks nearby. The guy in that video said that that noise lasted for a consecutive 8 minutes straight. Now, I don't remember the last time thunder made the same sound for 8 minutes straight. And that guy said he wanted to believe it was lightning and thunder. The only thing was, no lightning was striking, and that sound just continued going and going and going. And they said it almost sounded like someone was just hammering in the sky. Now, I know what I believe it is, but I want to know what all of you think it is. I also believe that enough of us have been alive for long enough to know the difference between thunder and something that sounds completely unnatural. So, let me know what you think. Drop it in the comments. And remember, it's not up to me to tell you what to believe. That has to be on you. So anything we talk about is for learning, education, and entertainment purposes only. But I feel like this is a conversation we need to be having. So let's have this conversation today.
But outside of all of this that's currently happening, this wild scene was captured over in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. We are on Tropicana, in front of the Walmart. Every last one of the light poles, the electricity poles are down. This goes for miles. We ain't got no power. I don't know what the hell is going on. This goes for miles, y'all. Look at the cords on the ground. It goes all the way down, miles. What the hell? What the hell? All of these are down, y'all. Every last one of the powers down.
And what is wild to me, like other people have pointed out in the comment sections of these videos, is that if you notice, none of the trees look like they have been touched. Just the power poles have all fallen down. So what they're saying had happened anyway, and I'm reading this article from 3NBC News, nearly 50 power poles were damaged in Las Vegas during a windstorm. And the article goes on to say that a sudden and severe windstorm swept through the Las Vegas Valley, causing significant power outages affecting thousands of residents. And as of 7 p.m. on that Tuesday, or yesterday, approximately 272 outages were reported, impacting 20,485 customers, according to the Nevada Energy, and the number keeps going up. The most recent news says that 33,000 customers, that's an interesting number, isn't it, that constantly keeps appearing, are now without power. The outages were primarily caused by severe winds, with gusts reaching up to 70 miles per hour in some areas, surpassing initial forecast. But who knows what Las Vegas was really hit with, or what they were testing out there, affecting or impacting just the power poles.
This is fishy. The trees are all standing. This is Las Vegas, Tropicana. But watch this. All the signs are fine. Even this little tiny one right here. Standing. But all those poles down the whole boulevard? Come on, what's really going on?
So the pushback as to why we did not see any other trees fall over during these high winds happens to be because they are palm trees and palm trees bend in the wind as opposed to falling over. Now, I live in a location known for their palm trees, and I'm here to call BS on that. Now, while they are more resilient to the wind, they do indeed fall over, and many times when high winds had come in my area, I had to pick up the leaves from fallen palm trees, or the city had to come out and pick up the fallen palm trees themselves. But it's always possible too, and looking at it at another angle, these power poles needed to be updated. They were old, they lacked the maintenance, and when one fell, the rest of them fell down. It was like some kind of domino effect. I don't know, I just find it very odd that we don't see any of the trees, any of the signs falling, just the power poles, but maybe this one does have a more logical explanation. But it's not like anything suspicious would ever be involved with the weather. This very interesting video though comes from 5149 James Lee, and he found something very interesting when it came to the LA fires.
I think I just found one of the biggest natural disaster cover-ups in American history. Okay, so do we all remember the massive wildfires in Los Angeles earlier this year? Well, the picture that you're looking at right now is not that. This is actually a picture from another wildfire that started 6 days earlier in the exact same spot. That's right, a small but not insignificant brush fire broke out the morning of January 1st that was supposedly very quickly put out. These are the side-by-side photos from the 1st and the 7th. You can see that they're in the exact same spot. Here's the overhead map. Once again, both fires starting in the exact same spot, just right outside this residential area. Now, according to a tweet posted by the LA Fire Department on the morning of January 1st at 4:48 a.m., that fire was supposedly fully contained. But was it actually fully put out? Because according to reports, quote, over the next 6 days, from January 2nd to January 6th, residents living along Calle Germain, Lockman Lane, and Upper Palisades Drive, that's the neighborhood of the map that we were looking at, they continue to observe smoke wisps drifting from the original ignition site. These sightings, reported through 311, local neighborhood watch alerts, and social media, were consistently dismissed as post-fire haze. Another report, this one from CBS News, cited a man named Zane Mitchell who was hiking along the path where the fire started, called Temescal Ridge Trail, and he noted that the ground by the Lockman Fire's burn scar were, quote, still smoldering. Here's a picture that he took that morning. Ground clearly still smoldering. Now, I did some quick research, and according to wildfire experts, lingering hotspots can, quote, reignite under favoring conditions. And we know for a fact that's exactly the conditions that we saw in the coming days. Now, we're not done yet. I got more evidence for you. These images are from NASA's Sentinel-2 satellite, which showed that there were persistent heat signatures left by the January 1st fire. Okay, so you can see this image here from December 28th, 2024. Everything looks green. And then on January 2nd, that exact same spot is now red, suggesting that indeed the fire was not fully put out. And not doing proper thermal imaging after a fire is against protocol, and that's something that the city allegedly did not do. Now, of course, nobody, not the fire chief, not Karen Bass, certainly not Gavin Newsom, can admit any of this because it necessarily means possible criminal negligence. Okay, we're talking deaths, property loss, damages into the hundreds of billions of dollars for breach of protocol and not properly extinguishing a previous fire, which at this point maybe explains why the city has still refused to release records regarding the LA Fire Department's actions leading up to the fire. Specifically, they've denied dozens of public records requests from journalists related to the handling of the fire, which includes 911 calls, dispatch logs, and internal communications about preparations. LA's Deputy Fire Chief Everett also expressed skepticism that the Palisades fire was sparked by rekindling of the earlier blaze, saying, quote, that fire was dead out. But was it? Let me know what you think.
Because it's obvious that fire was started and ignited so it could spread out. Also, they could get ready for this whole 2028 smart city agenda. They knew it was there, they knew it was going to get out of control, and they did nothing about it. As always, it was all planned. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.